I could start singing Christmas carols at you.
No.
La 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 la.
That's not really... Well, okay, that's tralalying a melody, but that's not quite... I think we should start a Christmas podcast with a public service announcement about Christmas.
Jingle bells, jingle
No.
bells away.
That's copyrighted. I don't know who by, but it will be.
Nope.
Some guy in the North Pole. It'll say on the copyright form.
Mr. Klaus. Sandvik Klaus.
Sandvik Klaus. The German Santa Claus.
The German...
Oh dear. That's actually in relation to the kind of thing I wanted to start with, which was saying that Santa Claus is not real.
What?
Well, I know. It's hard to accept, but...
You shattered all of my illusions of reality.
I know. My only regret is that you weren't an innocent child, because then it would be funny.
I don't even remember when I didn't believe in Santa. I don't even think I ever actually did. I remember trying to catch... purposely trying to catch my dad in the act of, putting presents in the room by, I say elaborate traps. It was more just, putting bits of Lego on the floor and stuff, so hopefully he'd stand on them and shout.
It's quite cunning. I don't think I ever believed in Santa. It was more like I believed in presents, so I was willing to do it. But yeah, if you should awake in the middle of the night on December the 24th to find a fat guy dressed as Santa breaking into your house...
Call the police.
Do not
immediately.
Santa, grab a kitchen knife, call the police, and hide in the bathroom.
No matter how many toys or sweeties he tries to offer you.
He'll be banging on the door shouting, ho, ho, ho.
Ho, 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 little kiddies.
It'll be like that scene in The Shining.
Come take a look in my sack.
You know, that kind of thing has probably happened somewhere in the world at some point. Some mentally deranged person just choosing to ruin someone's Christmas by doing something like that.
It's probably best not to think about things like that.
Were you one of those smug children when you were young who got taken to see Santa, in inverted commas, and then tried to, prove it wasn't him? His beard off.
I vaguely remember going to visit Santa in his grotto once. But I don't remember.
Just something you've once told a therapy group. Oh, we have to stop making Christmas jokes into rude ones. It's okay.
There's no other way of going around it. That's going to be the theme for the podcast, obviously.
It probably is, because, this time of year, you're only really supposed to care about it if you're related to the religion which it started from. And since I've got no interest in it, because it is just an excuse to spend lots of money.
The problem is that you get guilted into it by the people that maybe not necessarily really do fall into that category, but sort of decide, you know what, let's all get into Christmas and stuff. And you find yourself, well, these people are buying things for you, so you have to, otherwise they'll end up kicking up a stink.
Yeah, bloody family members buying me things.
Sitting here swinging my slipper around above my head trying to stop the cats from fighting. On our
you
side.
Considered throwing it at the cat?
That's a good idea. Take that!
I heard it. Now, someone might play this back for an RSPCA official, so would you like to say what you were actually throwing it at?
At the wall. But no, it was in the cat's direction.
No, it was at the wall. Wink. My wall sometimes makes the noise that sounds similar to a cat meowing. Wink.
Have you ever considered going into law?
I don't think it'd be very good.
Hello and welcome to the Brain Go Hurty gaming podcast. You won't find any presents or Christmas cheer here because we're both miserable Christmas Scrooges.
Yes, we are.
I'm Blighty and I'm joined with a Flick.
I thought you were done.
Probably know us already, and you should know that he always interrupts the intro.
I thought we're done.
Always.
It isn't just a Christmas one, it's a New Year one as well. Hogmanay for us.
So, yeah, Hogmanay.
Yes.
So we'll probably be wrapping up the year as a whole and all that sort of shite.
Along with our usual things, and also we've done our awards this time.
Yes, so we have the Brain Go Hurty 2011 Gaming Awards, which should be a slight twist on the usual gaming awards. I hope.
Some of them. Some of them.
In
the meantime, I am reading this case thing you linked me.
Oh, where I was talking about the business law stuff, yeah.
Yeah, so this woman, she went in and had a ginger beer part ice cream float. We have quite a lot here. It's when you mix ice cream with a fizzy drink and it turns into a floating, gaseous, quite nice tasting blob.
I like them, I do, yeah.
I used to have them with cola sometimes.
That's what, Coke Float, that's what it's called.
Yeah, so she did that, and in hers was the rotting remains of a decomposing snail, she claimed.
Supposedly.
Aha. So that was her claim, and then she went to court about it.
Yeah, because at the time, because she hadn't bought it, her friend had bought it. At the time, if you hadn't bought the goods that were faulty or whatever, then you couldn't claim against anybody.
Faulty? Excuse me, there's a snail in my drink. This drink is clearly faulty.
You should send it back to the manufacturer.
This drink isn't functioning as directed. It's not being liquid I can consume. That's very weird wording.
So...
what, Donahue versus Stevenson, 1932.
Yeah, so until that point, if something was fucked with something that somebody else had bought for you as a gift, then you couldn't claim until that point.
But then they thought...
Then they thought, do you know what, dead snails is probably about the limit.
Dead snail is where the line was drawn, and all had to change.
Now, the interesting thing about that case is that she basically won and everything went in her favour, but no dead snail was ever presented. They didn't ever have any evidence of it happening.
Is that because it was in her stomach?
That's a good point, actually. I never really.
Or in the cafe, was there just a very eager, hungry Frenchman who just couldn't help himself?
But this is the thing. It's perfectly edible. People eat them all the time. It's supposed to be a delicacy.
Not a dead, decomposing one.
Maybe.
Especially if it had the shell.
Crunchy.
How else could they have known it was a snail? We should probably stop talking about a case from the 1930s.
Gaming podcast, not Scottish business law.
Although there might be some gaming-related legal gibberish later, but we'll see where this goes. Let's go with our normal start.
So the normal start is where we talk about what we've been playing for the last 2 weeks.
Yes, although it's not been quite 2 weeks this time.
Yes. Don't break the third wall, fourth wall, whatever it is.
Why not? I'd rather do that than people think we're sad enough to actually record it on the weekend of Christmas.
It would actually be on Christmas Eve if we went by the normal.
Yes, exactly. If we stuck to our proper schedule. Yeah. I mean, done it before. As a brief aside before we even get started.
Oh, fuck's sake.
I've got this Christmas tradition that I've been doing for quite a few years now, where I make it a point to get through Christmas without wishing a single person Merry Christmas.
What is it about you saying this isn't a Christmas podcast, but like trying to roll it back into Christmas again and again?
I'm trying since it is the season to be a miserable prick. So, So
you have yet to wish anybody. Do people come into your place of business? And
it makes it especially hard. That's partly why I do it, because it's a challenge. So I get around it by say someone wishes me a Merry Christmas, I'll smile and nod, or I'll say, and you. I won't actually say Merry Christmas. You're
a miserable fucker. It's interesting. It's an interesting challenge.
It is a challenge, especially if you have a big family who's really into Christmas. I urge people to try it. And
technically, I haven't. I mean, like I've had cards that I've like had to send people and stuff that say "Merry Christmas" on them. Does that count?
If you wrote it, then yes.
Well, if Johnny Internet wrote it for me and sent it in the post for me, does that count?
Who's Johnny Internet? Is that what you call your girlfriend?
No, that would be very, very weird.
When she comes in later, call her Johnny Internet and see how she reacts.
Confused.
Don't predict. Let's just find out. That's my brief aside that you'll probably end up cutting and sticking somewhere else anyway.
Quite possibly.
Possibly. So what have you been playing for the last 2 weeks?
Civ 5. Civilization 5. Lots and lots of Civilization 5.
Lots and lots and lots. Although it's only been one more full game since then. Oh no, two. One with CR.
Yeah. But it's fun.
It is fun, but they all play out the same, which is a bit disappointing.
It is annoying that despite having different personalities for each of the AI, that they never really drift away from just going, war! Kill everyone!
If you give them a reason to, I wouldn't have a problem with that, but it's when you're totally friends with them, you've been trading with them, they're at friendly status with you, then next turn at war with you for no reason.
They have been friends for like hundreds of turns or whatever.
You're not encroaching on their land at all, you're even military size, etc. So it's simple AI, which I guess is what I don't like. But I suppose you could argue the multiplayer is meant for people, and people would be warmongering as well.
That's true.
Yeah, I wouldn't think if you did play an open game with like 6 other folk, there'd be someone going for a culture victory.
Let's try that. Let's try it.
Well, invite people in and try and do a culture victory.
Yeah, let's try that.
They'd all just gank us to stop us getting the Utopia project. Those bastards are going for world peace. Nuke them.
We need to try that. We need to try and play like with other human people and see what happens. It'll be horrible. It'll be a horrible, horrible mess. But
roleplay hippies as we do it, like trying to make them feel really bad about waging war on us, doing sad faces and saying we just want everyone to hold hands.
So other than Civ 5, I've been playing more Skyrim.
Only a little bit though.
Yeah, not an awful lot. I've been really slacking with the uploads for the playthrough.
I find it interesting that Civilization addiction has surpassed Skyrim addiction.
Well,
you'd be playing the other way around.
No, like I've said time and time again that the franchise Civilization is probably my favorite like ever. And I've sunk more hours into that franchise than anything else. That includes MMOs. I mean, if you think how much time that I probably tallied up on, say, Final Fantasy XI or World of Warcraft, it's nothing compared to what I've put into Civ 1, 2, 3, 4, and now 5.
Yeah.
It really, they don't even come close.
So, on Skyrim news, I actually finished it. But I was pretty much right at the end, so I just loaded up the file and did it finally.
I think I'm like barely denting the main story, to be honest.
No, the main story is very short. It's no wonder people claimed you could do it in 2 hours if you wanted.
Yeah, did you enjoy the whole thing, or?
I didn't enjoy the main story in the end. It was too basic. But the same problem was in Oblivion as well, really. It's all about the side quests, which are good, which are better in Skyrim.
There are some very interesting ones, which hopefully eventually my videos will catch up and show at least one of the amusing ones I've come across. I'm aware of another one that you talked about where you got married to a goat or something.
There was no marrying of goats.
You got married to a goat.
No.
And then you had to fight her zombie remains at some point.
Well, so, that part is I got attacked by an undead goat.
That's pretty much all I've been playing, if I think about it.
No, it's not. No. What else?
Well, we played a bit more Assassin's Creed, okay.
Yes, you have. We did it last night, didn't we?
Yeah, we tried out that new game mode as well. Was it Artifact Assault?
Yeah, Artifact Assault.
Which was basically Capture the Flag, and you can check the videos out on your channel, but I quite like that one.
I actually quite liked it as well. We only did 2 of it, and they're both up already. We're back onto the Manhunt ones we did afterwards.
I think if Manhunt worked the way it was supposed to work, it would definitely be the top game mode, but because it doesn't, I think Artifact Assault might be my new favourite. Just because it does what it's supposed to do, really.
Although it did seem to make you quite angry when we were playing that, more so than the other game modes have made me annoyed. But is that just because you were the only one trying to do the...
On that one map that we were playing, where I was the only person trying to go for their artifact, it was getting a bit annoying. Because it had like at least 2 or 3 of them camping theirs.
Yeah.
And trying to run away with it when there's 3 people chasing you, it just doesn't work.
That is the one flaw in that game mode. Because if you want lots of points, you really should camp your own thing, but the winner is decided by score.
Exactly.
Although I noticed in the one where we ended up drawing, which is the one you were getting annoyed in, we still got classed as winning. So I think if it's a tie score, it goes by in kill points.
So you could just wait it out then, really. You can turtle it.
Probably best not to let people know you can do that, but yeah, you can.
Interesting.
So, yeah, we've done a bit of that. I think I'll just double check quickly, number 19 went up earlier, and we did 20 in total, so there's only one left to go up after that. Where you set a new criteria in...
Oh, yeah, trying to blackmail people into the podcast.
Yes, 250 views at least on Joyful Porridge.
Yeah.
On the YouTubes.
I'm Xbox Live. Use the YouTubes. You can now get the YouTubes on Xbox Live.
Yes, you can.
Which I don't really quite get why you would need to.
If you don't have a PC.
But one of the things, this is what I don't get though, is that you can have an Xbox, not an Xbox Live, a YouTube account and tie it into your Xbox Live one, right?
Uh-huh.
Which would mean that you would have to have access to a PC to have a YouTube account in the first place.
Yeah, but you don't need a YouTube account to browse it.
It looks horrible as well. It looks absolutely horrible.
Are you talking about trying it on your giant TV? Because it looked fine on mine.
Oh, no, it looked horrible on my giant TV.
I mean, you could tell you were watching a video when I streamed one of mine back on my 360, but it didn't look bad.
When I streamed your video back, it looked like it would like drop down into like SD quality.
Yeah, I would say that's fair.
Whereas when I watch it on my giant TV, it looks very shiny.
That's because it's in HD.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so that's your whole list. My whole list is pretty similar, other than still playing the 2 3DS games I talked about last time, so I won't go back into them. Still doing a bit of Disgaea, and I also finished that Elder Scroll book.
It's not a game. Not a game.
I know it's not a game, but it links into the games, doesn't it?
I suppose.
So I wrote the first draft of my review this morning, and I'll be reading it through, etc., and finishing it tonight after this.
Is that going to be, something recurrent, like more sort of non-gaming stuff?
We have actually been getting offered quite a lot of books, because we've done... Well, my editor did the Uncharted one, and there was an Arkham City one, and I'm going to be getting given a Dragon Age one next. It's something to fill the gap, because, I mean, there's nothing really out between now and March. So
another gaming slump.
It does. I know, it's always a lull, and then too many at once, and then a lull.
Yeah. Well, I suppose it gave me a chance to try and get through Skyrim without cheating, like skipping recording sessions and
True.
And various other things, and possibly getting Shogun and...
Oh, yeah, see, that's what I was about to move on to. That's the other thing I've been playing, Shogun 2, which I tried to convince you to get when it was in the Steam sale, but you said you could find it cheaper online anyway, after we solved your giant TV problem.
Sort of. I'm skint anyway with Christmas.
I know, skint. I know. Oh, on the subject of buying things on Steam, because that's what I was trying to get you to do, they're doing their ridiculous Christmas sale, let's just give away any old crap for pennies thing, because we've got all money anyway, so we don't need any more.
It's pretty badass, isn't it? I do like that.
It is.
One of their saving graces of Steam. You can't fault them on that.
Well, today's deals, as in the 20th deals, have only just started. So what kind of thing we've got here? Oh, you can buy Duke Nukem Forever for $3.74. Why on earth would you want to do that?
If you were a masochist.
Not sure I recognise any of these other games. No, that's Modern Warfare 2, I think, for a tenner.
Yep.
Oh, that thing that CR plays, the dungeon crawler type thingy. Can't remember what it's called.
Dungeons of Dreadmore?
Yes, that's 86 pence.
Wow.
Yeah, and that looks like Tropico 3 for a tenner. It's a bit pointless going into what the deals are, because by the time this is up, it'll be a new set of deals. But the fact is, go check out this sale, because it's the one time of year where it's worth getting stuff on Steam.
Speaking of that, one of our loyal followers...
I was hoping you would just take that segue and run with it, and I'm so glad you did. And then I mentioned it, I know.
Words fail me.
Well, I was complimenting you. I didn't have to embrace it.
No, you compliment nobody. Yeah, so one of our loyal followers, not mentioning any names, Muffin McNoodly Muffin Noodle, has decided that because we haven't been playing anything scary or anything like that, and because he/she, I'm not actually sure if Noodles is a dude or not. I don't know.
I assumed with a name like that it was a gentleman, a fine.
I'm assuming that it's a dude.
Gentleman who wears a kilt and is proud of it.
Has decided to gift one of us, which is probably going to work out being me. I'll probably email him later or something. Amnesia, which I've noticed is £3.24 on the store.
Well, it was before these new ones kicked in, yes.
No, it's still there for another 3.5 hours.
Oh, is it?
So that'll be interesting, and hopefully we'll get I'll get some sort of playthrough with you watching me playing.
Yeah, playthrough where, unlike the Skyrim one where I'm kind of doing my own thing at the same time, I will actually see what he's seeing via the fun thing that Noodle also told us about via Skype, where we can see each other's desktops.
Yeah.
Which it might help.
It might not.
It might not, because the resolution is kind of bad. But Amnesia is one of those games that isn't about the graphics; it's about the atmosphere, which is why he probably wanted us to try it anyway. Because everything I've heard about it confirms that it's all about the atmosphere.
So stay tuned for that then.
It's a pity we didn't kind of do that for Halloween rather than Christmas and New Year, but
yeah, that probably falls better into our sort of pattern, really.
while we're doing kind of Christmassy shout-outs as well, and we've done that for Noodles there because of what he did, I only noticed the other day that someone was kind enough to review our podcast on the American version of iTunes, because we got into the habit of only checking the UK one, and they're separate stores for different countries. The person's name was Alan Liu. I don't know if that's his full name or not, but thank you very much, Alan Liu. Yeah. In fact, you can press on his name. Let's see what happens if I do that. Oh no, it just takes you to a full comment. And he likes Disgaea 4 as well, which means he has good taste. So you have to believe him when he says he likes our podcast.
So if anybody else out there is, even if you're using YouTube, but if you have iTunes, go on and give us a review, because, the more the merrier.
Yes. A good review.
We'll pay you monies, brackets.
No.
Your monies.
I'll pretend to like a game that I really hate for you. Because that's the kind of thing that goes on in the industry. If I worked for GameStop, Spot.
Or IGN,
we should probably stop slandering people in case we get big enough that they'll come after us.
Yeah, good point. So, going on to a side note on that, then, with small groups of people suddenly doing really well, Mojang, who do Minecraft, as you know, aren't producing. They're not making this game, but they're publishing this game for another indie company. Yes. I don't know if you've looked into Cobalt at all.
I have watched a video of it being played, yes.
It's a bit interesting looking. It looks kind of like quite a lot of fun to me. It's like throw back to the old sort of...
It looks a bit like Braid.
Yeah, sort of platformy shooty sort of games. But the thing that I found out that totally threw me off it is that there's no network multiplayer.
Oh dear.
Only local, so you would have to be playing on the same screen.
My interest has gone limp. My co-op was getting all excited, and now it's just gone all floppy.
You were getting ready for a culture explosion, and then
just let's not do that.
A damp squib. Ugh. No, we love the King Day for you. Civ 5 innuendo.
Yeah, that's we got bored towards the end of a game of Civ 5, and that's what we started talking about. Culture explosions. all over
the map.
All over the map. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, so I'd seen a little bit about that a while back, but in reading, that they're not planning on putting any network multiplayer in, I was just like, no, because the whole point of a game like that.
I said there isn't any plans.
No, it doesn't sound like it.
That's terrible. Oh.
Silly. Perhaps.
No, I said that's terrible.
Terrible.
I'm affected by the death of Kim Jong-il. Was that tasteless? I mean, he was a ruthless dictator.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
I saw all the pictures of him, of people crying as he died, and I couldn't decide whether it was genuine or if they just realised they had snipers pointing at them.
I think the latter. I think it was fear. I mean, it was all about the fear over there.
Kind of like the Hitler thing. The first person to stop crying gets shot. For Hitler, it's clapping, but
Yeah.
To change the subject to something more cheery. Nope, I've got nothing.
Nope. I was sitting there thinking, what have you really got there that's cheery?
No. I'm looking for
something that not cheery, but something that I'm kind of looking forward to. Alan Wake. We both played that and really liked that, and it was one of those. I wouldn't say underrated. It was under.
It wasn't underrated. It just didn't have mass market appeal, so it didn't sell.
It's one of those weird games that all the critics are raving on about, and it was a brilliant game. I loved Alan Wake, but unfortunately, it didn't sell very well. So
City, it was my highest game on Critical Gamer.
I see. So they're bringing out a sort of sequel, I suppose, is the way to look at it. It's more of a side story, I suppose. But I think because of the poor sales of Alan Wake American Nightmare is being released as almost like DLC. It's a downloadable.
DLC is downloadable only on Xbox only as well.
Apparently, the way that they play tested this was that they wanted new enemies and so on and so forth. That they made it almost like a sort of survive till dawn. They made it like horde mode almost to test.
Did they? I didn't know that.
Apparently, this is what they did. They made it like a sort of horde mode style game, and built the gameplay around that, and then they sort of tacked on the storyline on the side.
Well, I hope they've kind of blended it well, because I liked the
I don't know whether or not what's happening is that perhaps they've decided that they're going to keep the horde mode as like a separate mode, if you know what I mean. Where you're playing a survival mode as well as like, I think it's worked it out as being about a 5-hour story mode, apparently. So
as long as it's got a price that reflects that, unlike something like a Modern Warfare game, which has a barely 5-hour campaign and tacks on more.
I don't think it'll be too expensive. That's my prediction is that it will be a pretty realistic price.
I am more interested in it after watching that trailer and knowing that they're going with the angle about Mr. Scratch doing evil things. He's the evil version of...
Yeah, he's like a doppelganger, isn't he?
Yeah.
Sort of.
Because he had such a minor appearance, and then he only kind of got hinted at in the DLC of the game, didn't he?
I've just realised I haven't actually played the DLC.
Oh, well...
I read about it a bit, but yeah, I haven't actually played the DLC for Alan Wake. Speaking of, actually...
It wraps up the story of the first game pretty well.
So I should have... No, wait, I did play the first DLC. Anyway, one of the reasons that people were saying that it kind of flopped a bit in the sales is that because it was an Xbox exclusive and they didn't think that was the right market and so on. The PC version is actually being released.
Well, I hope it does better. I'm not sure I agree with that assumption, but... Well, I don't think actually based on the average Xbox Live user.
I don't think it'll do horribly well, but it's nice to think that maybe as long as it does well enough.
Yeah, as long as it does well enough that they make another one.
Yeah,
a proper one. So we should say that trailer was at the VGA Awards, which is on Spec TV in America. Annoyingly, it aired the evening we recorded the last podcast. So if we were smart, we would have waited until the Sunday, and then we could have covered it then.
That's true.
Did you watch any highlights from it? I use the word highlight very, very loosely.
I watched trailers. Does that count?
No. I
ignore like all sorts of like award ceremonies.
They had an on-stage teabagging.
I saw a clip of that because it was all over.
They thought that was hilarious. But they also did something which I didn't like.
Wait. What's funny about putting your nuts in another guy's mouth?
Nothing.
I don't see what's amusing about that for either party.
And I'm not sure why doing that on stage they thought that would appeal to gamers. Like, why appeal to the worst gamers when you've got the mass of them watching? But yeah, they also did they do an award for best character, and they always try and get the nominees to do special little videos, and they did. And
this is in the line of Andy Serkis for like Gollum for. Yes,
that award speech that he did as Gollum was hilarious. I remember it.
I like that.
He just goes into a swearing fit. Yes, it's very funny. That's probably on YouTube as well and worth looking. In fact, you could stick that on the blog if you remember afterwards.
I shall.
But anyway, so they had one of Nathan Drake talking and Marcus Phoenix and the Joker and Wheatley, and Wheatley won it.
That was the only one I saw, actually. That one.
Well, all of them are on halos.com. But the video, they had to host the video elsewhere because they bloody claimed copyright on YouTube. But yes, so they go through all this trouble, and they also, each of them made a special movie of them actually in case they won. So like the character doing a follow-up saying thanks for winning, etc.
Yeah.
So the developers went to quite a lot of trouble for this award show, and then that award wasn't actually broadcasted on TV. So it was, they did the fuck in the room, essentially.
If I could be bothered, I would start banging my head on the wall.
It's just I would be pissed off if I was them.
Yeah, of course you would.
And I liked Wheatley in Portal 2, but I think Hamill should have won it again for Joker because he was just perfect as him again.
Couldn't comment. Haven't played the.
I know. You might do. Well, did you like Wheatley? Would you say Wheatley's better than, say, Marcus Phoenix and Nathan Drake?
Definitely better than Marcus Phoenix. But. Drake's character's a bit interesting, but Nolan North.
Do we really want to give Nolan North? He might start getting hired more. And
he can't get hired any more than he already is. He's in everything.
So what other trailer? I mean, the awards were essentially just a trailer fest. So obviously there was the one for Fall of Cybertron, which I liked. I'm still looking forward to that game.
Assuming that the multiplayer is, akin to War for Cybertron, then yeah, go ahead with it.
I hope they don't go the Ubisoft route and change it ever so slightly in such a way that makes it awful. Because we both really liked the War for Cybertron multiplayer.
It was very good.
I really hope they don't make that same mistake that's happened between Brotherhood and Revelations. Now, did you see a certain other, what's considered quite a big trailer that was revealed at that award?
Is that them or Now's or something? I don't know.
No, not the new. Are you talking about the new Naughty Dog one? They basically ripped off I Am Legend.
Yeah, that one.
No, not that. That was. I mean, they might think it's big, but I don't.
What is it then?
Command and Conquer Generals 2.
Oh, that, yes, I saw that. I nearly culture explosioned.
Right, and what did you take away from that trailer? Other than there's a Generals 2 in the making.
Looking at it, it was a bit weird because I was seeing that they were using like the Frostbite engine and stuff, so it looked like...
You're not giving the obvious answer I thought you would.
Which is what?
That it had BioWare connected to the name.
I have heard people talking about this.
Yeah. Now, this is the interesting thing. It's a BioWare game, but at the same time, it's not.
It's got nothing to do with them, but they're tacking that on to hope to leech some of the fans of that publisher.
I wasn't actually aware EA were doing this, but ever since they acquired the BioWare name from the original Canadian company, they've been creating subsidiaries of it.
Yeah.
Because they know the name BioWare sells, whereas the name EA makes people vomit in a bucket. So...
Literally.
Yeah. Oh dear. So what they've done is the team that's making this Generals 2 is the exact same team that made the last Command and Conquer game, which didn't do too well. It's just they're now called BioWare, so that means it will automatically be good. I mean, it might still be okay because the first Generals game was very good.
I definitely think that's my favorite Command and Conquer game, to be honest with you. So I have played quite a few of them.
There's still a chance it will be good. It's just you need to be very careful when you see BioWare these days because EA has it's like EA makes games and they're toast and BioWare's just the jam they spread on every single bit.
What is it with the analogies today?
I might have been considering certain analogies ahead of time.
I see.
Well, it's because how could you explain it otherwise? I mean, it's a standard business thing that they've done, that they've taken an IP that they know does well and then just splurting it all over the place. But I didn't really want to use the word splurting.
Apparently there's a very famous knitwear manufacturer. Like they make jumpers and cardigans and stuff. And inside, like on the label, it's like designed in Edinburgh, Scotland or whatever. And it's all being touted as like, this Scottish brand that's all, really high quality and stuff. They're actually made in China. But because it says... designed in Scotland, the whole, concept for the fashion or whatever was made here. That's okay. And I'm just sitting there thinking, you rip-off bastards.
Oh, dear. There was another big trailer off of the VGAs, and that was Metal Gear Rising. Did you watch that one?
No, I've never been a fan of I've never played any of the Metal Gear games.
Well, I kind of wish had seen the original Rising trailer then, because it didn't go in the same direction as the original Metal Gears. It was like a sword simulator where you could cut anything. And then no one heard about it for a while, and then they've revealed it again at VGAs, showing they've gone in a completely different direction. I called it on Twitter Ninja Gaiden Raiden, which is basically what it is. They've ripped off Ninja Gaiden. Oh. And put it with Raiden as the main character. And they've also changed the name. It's not called Metal Gear Rising anymore. It's called Revengeance, which is not a word.
What? This is the problem, because we were talking about this before, where they're running out of, subtitles for games and stuff. All the revelations and all that stuff. I mean, how many games have got revelations in the subtitle and all those sort of things? And I think that they start making things up. Revengeance.
I googled Revengeance just to make sure it wasn't like some ancient word, and on Urban Dictionary they claim it's the combination of revenge and vengeance, making it revenge plus one. So why Hideo Kojima want to go with like an Urban Dictionary meme, I've got no idea. It's a terrible name.
You might as well call it like Metal Gear Solid Lol Dex Rufflecopters Loller Skates.
And do you know who might be to blame? And this, I am not making this up. The person who's now leading the development of this new Revengeance is named Atsushi Inaba, and he worked for Capcom.
Oh!
And I'm not making that up. He really did.
we're having the first Bringo Hurty Gaming Awards.
Now, do we want to do these in a certain order, or shall we just do them in the order we decided them?
Let's just go through the order that we've got them decided. Now, this was done ahead of time. We don't know what each other have written down. We just picked the categories. Some were, sent to us. Some we've decided ourselves.
Some, I think,
and some are, just general ones that every.
I actually think we should do them in reverse order, by the way, because we end on our game of the year, etc., rather than starting with the big one.
Okay.
So, the bottom of the list is actually the worst character
award.
Worst
gaming character in 2011.
Yes.
Who did you go for?
Oh, you want me to go first? Well, we're going to have to take turns who goes first, so you go first next if I go first now.
Okay.
Brofist. I chose as the worst... Calm down. My worst character, unfortunately, doesn't actually have a name. So that kind of makes it hard.
What?
So, but I'm the boss from Saints Row 3, as in the person you play as, because he's the asshole. Like, it kind of happened in 2 as well, that you get the feeling as you're not really playing as a nice person. You're playing as a bastard. I really didn't like, for example, in the second one, that you go and get revenge on Julius, because all Julius wanted to do was put an end to gang warfare. So you're playing as the baddie, basically, and in Saints Row 3, you're 10 times worse.
This is like reminiscent of that Mitchell and Webb sketch where they're playing as the Germans, and he realizes he's got like the SS Trooper stuff with the skulls and stuff. Hans, are we the baddies?
I hated the person I was playing as, even though he was voiced by someone who does a voice in Disgaea 4. So I liked the voice actor, but the character and what they made him do in that one, it just keeps on getting worse and worse, and like you're acting like an arse for no reason.
See, I think they've gone for the whole like the Grand Theft Auto side of things, where you end up playing as somebody that does a lot of bad things, but they're always forced into that corner.
Exactly.
Even Tommy Vercetti, I suppose, at first is almost pushed into it, but he does. I suppose he's probably the worst of the characters.
He's the worst example because he was just ripping off Scarface.
Yeah.
So,
but that was I think that was the point. That was a nod to that. There was a limit.
Yes, there was only so far they could go when they were ripping off various gangster movies of the time. So that's my worst character anyway. I'm sure there is also equally bad ones, but I didn't have any runners up. So who's your worst character?
My worst character is Jin from Dead Island.
Oh, that's a good one.
Because I like everything about that character. The fact that they were useless. What's the point of having a storage character in a game like that?
When you can't even transfer between characters, also.
So as a purpose in the game, pointless. Their story, pointless. I mean, they were trying to. It was almost like they tried to tack on, a little bit of humanity, human emotion into the game, where it really wasn't needed. You were getting that from the other characters and their struggle through the game and so on in the cutscenes. It wasn't needed. I hated her.
Yeah, I mean, and 5 minutes after you meet her, you're supposed to feel sorry for her abandoning her father, etc. But you're not emotionally attached to her, so it doesn't matter.
You've killed that many zombies beforehand. That one extra person. What's another 10?
It's all just blood on the windshield. I think is the way
that is a brilliant analogy.
Oh, I'm just full of them tonight. When I'm on, I'm on. Oh dear.
So next up is best character.
And you have to go first this time.
I have opted for Sully from Uncharted 3.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm not.
I really liked like I was new to the Uncharted franchise with Uncharted 3. I haven't played any other ones.
I would suggest going back to 2, by the way, if you can pick it up for like a $5.
Yeah, I think I might actually. And his character, like everything about like the voice actor. I don't know who does the voice for him, but
the guy who voices him actually looks exactly like him.
Nice. His lines, the script, everything about Sully was good. I liked that. There was something about the way that the dialogue in Uncharted 3 that it was completely different to anything else I'd played in the last year.
I think it was my editor in his review of Uncharted 3 that he kind of noted that the thing that makes him like Sully is basically he's not really Nathan's father, but he's like the father figure.
Yeah.
And in Uncharted 3 in particular, there's like the anti-Nathan and the anti-Sully is that British woman and the person, the young guy she hangs around with.
Yeah, yeah.
So they kind of counteracted each other, plus he had a history with her. So it kind of branched off into his past as well, not just Drake's.
I really liked him. I thought it was a good character. It was believable.
I agree that he wasn't. Yeah, that he was, rather. And he wasn't voiced by Nolan North. It's
even better.
Win-win. There will be a game eventually where he just does every voice, even if he just gets paid to do it for like an April Fool or something. There will be. That's a great idea, in fact. Just Nathan North talks to
add voice acting into Minecraft, and it'll just be Nolan North.
We should pitch that.
Doing the creepers and stuff.
Oh, we should so pitch that idea to Notch. Just see what he says.
I'll do that. I'll tweet it to him later.
Right. So my best character, I had a hard time deciding between two of them. My runner-up was GLaDOS because I like the passive-aggressive way she was in Portal 2. Just the very underhanded way she would always constantly insult Chell and make references to her being overweight.
Some of the lines in Portal 2 for GLaDOS were really good. It was actually making me like smile, which is quite difficult.
And the delivery of it helps. She delivers her lines well. Kellen, whatever her name is. But she didn't win. I went with the Joker, as I possibly gave away earlier when I was talking possibly winning. I just really like the way Mark Hamill does Joker. I don't care that he used to be Luke Skywalker. I just like that he does a really good voice for Joker. It fits him so perfectly that you can go from like crazy to sinister halfway through a sentence.
You'd let him swing his lightsaber your direction any day, would you?
No. The next award we're doing is Capcom's Most Evil Deed /Bear. And I have /Bear there because I remember typing that last time because we decided that Capcom was actually run by bears.
Yep. Russian bears.
Russian bears. There's so many things you could pick from. Like Capcom's right up there with Nintendo as being just so really shitty this year. But the thing I picked, the most blatantly evil thing they've done this year that I picked was Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Not even a month and a half, I think, after the first original version came out, they announced it. And
it's a bit, yeah.
It may have been a reduced price, but still, that's just everyone knew it was coming as well. They knew it, and
I can't fathom the logic behind it. I really can't. And it's been a current theme for them this year. I mean, they haven't been that bad in the past. Not that bad.
This year in particular, they've been trying a lot of shit to see what works, like the one save on Mercenaries 3D.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, for example. I hope I didn't just accidentally pick the thing you picked also.
I thought you were about to, but you didn't.
Oof, okay. Right, so what did you do?
So the most evil deed I thought was where they haven't actually really done this yet, but it's the fact that they're thinking about charging for demos.
Oh, yes. They did actually do it. Remember, there was
one weird Japanese ones, but I mean like over, mainstream over here and so on as well.
Charging for demos, and you could argue they kind of did it for Dead Rising.
I just think that that's a really, really bad direction to go down.
It's kind of lucky that I hope people didn't buy into it. They didn't buy into the one save. They got it and they asked for that, so they won't be doing it again.
Yeah. I mean, they've been trying all these other little bits and pieces, but that's the one that would go down the biggest slippery slope, I think.
Yeah, and it's not like they're not doing anything else. Remember, Resident Evil Revelations is coming out with the RRP increased.
Oh yeah, because they think it's worth
it's
more.
Big enough, and they're doing one that bundles in that new attachment to the 3DS, that awful looking extra circle pad, because apparently that makes it easier to play.
I don't understand how, like, not even a year after releasing a fucking console, that they suddenly realise, hang on a minute, we've not actually put like a particular peripheral on this console that's been in development for years, but we forgot to stick this in.
Or maybe they did, and
that's Nintendo at the moment down to a T. I mean, the whole fucking thing with the Wii was all about like they couldn't give a shit about the games. It was all about how much stuff can we get people to buy. Let's give them a plastic wheel that doesn't actually do anything. You just stick the controller in the wheel, and it means that you're holding on to it.
Whatever happened to that vitality sensor that we're going to bring out for the Wii that you stick on your finger like you do if you're ill in hospital? Why did they think that was a good idea?
Someone's just going to stick that on their cock.
I get the feeling you've said that before.
So do I.
Is that because if you buy one, that's what the first thing you'll be doing? You want to know the heartbeat of your penis. Anyway,
do the swiftly on.
Next award, which is, we've decided in this order.
Most annoying enemy.
Yes, and this will be a highly contested one, I think.
No, I had drifted into thinking about some of the annoying enemies from Dark Souls, but it wasn't the enemies themselves, it was just the game's unfairness. Mm-hmm. So I decided to opt for the fucking bears from Sky. Yes. Because, like, for no other reason, right, other than that at the time of me first meeting the first bear, they were ridiculously overpowered. This is before I spread myself thin over different combat styles and stuff. They were crazy overpowered.
They still are, regardless.
They still are. I mean, even with, like, you know, the mage build I have now and cranking out all that fire damage and stuff, they still do not go down quickly.
It takes me longer to kill them in the harder tiers of standard monsters than it does dragons, which makes no sense.
I would agree.
Now, I was tempted to go with the bears, but I also knew. I knew you were going to. So I decided to look further afield, and I came up with two, and I found it so hard to choose between them.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the runner-up. My runner-up was trainers in any Pokemon game which use Pokemon which just spam the move that lowers your your accuracy. So
is this not supposed to be this year? Oh, there was a Pokemon game this year, wasn't there?
This year.
Yeah. Okay.
But, I mean, any Pokemon game does it. There's always trainers that do this tactic, but yes, there was. So, yeah, it's the ones that lower your accuracy all the way down, so then you just sit and miss and miss.
I'm trying to think what that move is. Is it Sand Slash or something like that? Something.
There's lots of things that do accuracy down, but the Sand Attack one is one. So they just really get on my nerves.
Out of curiosity, what was the other option you had?
Well, no, that was the runner-up. That wasn't the winner.
Oh.
The winner is either people or the AI in Mario Kart that use the blue shell. Because the blue shell exists purely to piss off someone who's better than you. Because
exactly.
The only people who get the blue shell are at the back, so they can't possibly win. They just do it to piss off the person who's winning.
But that's what I don't get. That perfectly falls into what you like. You like that's you. You're the blue shell. You are the blue shell.
Yeah, but I'm also good at games, so I'm always in fucking first until that blue shell hits me.
I don't think you were always in first in Mario Kart when we played.
We're talking about this year.
Yeah, okay.
So Mario Kart 7, it's happened so many times and it gets on my nerves. And if you're just jumping over a little gap, it will knock you down and that will take another 5 seconds for you to recover. I think it is the blue shell is the definition of annoying. So if that's me, oh dear, but as far as enemies go, that gets the crown. I know it's technically an item, but the people who use it become an enemy and go on the list.
Yeah, okay, right.
See, that was quite a recent one, because that was from Mario Kart 7.
Yeah.
So it's my turn to start the next one. Hopefully we've got this in the same order. My next one is most unsatisfying ending.
Okay.
Was that what you had?
Yes, I'm trying not to make edits for myself by just agreeing when I'm saying something.
Right, okay. Well, I went with L.A Noire. I do remember saying when I originally started ranting about L.A Noire that I'd wait for a while before, like once it was out, before I could go into more detail about why I hated it, and the ending is one of them, because the ending is terrible. And I am going to mention what the ending is.
Spoiler alert.
Who wants to know might want to, go buy a better game because it's terrible.
Okay.
The game concludes with you finding out that the person behind it all, like all the murders, etc., is an old war buddy of yours who went a bit mad and likes to set things on fire. Okay. And you go when you kill him and you get satisfaction there, and you kind of near the end of the game switch between Phelps, who you played most of the game as, and another companion of his from the war. And then you go through this. There's a section where you go through equipped with a flamethrower, burning people. It comes out of nowhere.
What?
And that's kind of the lead up to the ending, is you running around with a flamethrower, just killing wave after wave of crooked cops and gangsters. And then it culminates in his friend getting out, his sort of love interest, the German, who might or might not be a spy, it's kind of implied. She gets saved, and then Phelps is like dangling below them as a gush of water is coming towards them. They have plenty of time to get him out of there, but he looks at them, says goodbye, and then gets swept away and dies. And then it cuts to his funeral, where the crooked cop who kind of set him up and screwed his life over gives a touching eulogy and gets away with it. Like, what kind of satisfying ending is it where the bad guy wins?
Yeah, okay, I suppose I'll agree with that. Having not played L.A Noire, it's quite difficult to be justified, but some of the bits you're explaining just seem a bit too...
Playing the game itself is also annoying for many, many reasons that I expanded on in the review originally, but the ending just was very, very unsatisfying. And since this is the most unsatisfying ending, L.A Noire.
Mine is going to be rather controversial, I think.
Are you going to pick... What are you going to pick? Dead Island?
I'm going with Gears 3.
That's not controversial. Gears 3 is awful.
The ending just felt... It felt like I was cheated.
Cheated out of what?
Cheated out of... Like,
did you not
really finding anything out, really. They didn't go down, you thought, right, they're going to answer all these questions and stuff, and then that would be, satisfactory and stuff. And then instead they just bring out, his dad's been working with them for, years and blah, 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 blah. And
spoiler alert for Gears of War 3.
Oh, yeah. Spoiler alert.
Gears of War 3.
Oops.
As if anyone plays it for the story anyway.
Yeah, exactly. No, it just felt like you went through the whole, campaign, and it didn't feel like the story finale really tied with it as such. There
was no satisfying climax.
No.
I guess. And that's why you've given it that award. So
yeah. And I didn't really like the final boss fight either, to be honest.
Especially on bloody... We were at that for like 2.5 hours or something.
It was longer than that. It was about... That last section was probably about 2.5 hours, yeah.
Yeah, very poorly made last boss, especially on high difficulties. I'd like to stick in a quick prediction of bad endings for 2012.
Right.
Mass Effect 3, because the humans will probably win. Modern Warfare 4, 5, and 6. The Americans win. Uncharted 4, Drake kills foreigners and then wins.
Which foreigners will he kill this time?
Mexicans.
Mexicans, okay.
Oh, wouldn't it be really terrible if I was right? For some reason, Drake goes to Mexico and just starts gunning people down randomly every so often, thinking, maybe I shouldn't kill all these people. And then goes back to killing them again. Yeah.
So the next category is biggest disappointment.
Sad face.
Now, I think this one might come as... No, I won't even say it's a big shock, really, but I was toying between either Space Marine, because we'd been bigging it up for a long time, and we never actually played the full game, because the demo was that bad. Mm-hmm. But I've gone for Dark Souls.
I might as well say now I have also gone for Dark Souls, so it's the first one we've actually matched on.
And
because it is terrible.
I think part of it's because we were so anticipating how much better it was going to be, from Demon Souls and all the things that we liked that they must have known that we all liked and they were going to improve on. And they were going, we're still going to make it difficult and stuff. And we was like, yeah, that's fine. It was just right before and a couple of annoying bits, but once you manage to get like sort of a cheating co-op, I suppose. Working correctly and stuff, and it was all great and stuff, and then this came out and it was just it was just a mess. It was a mess from start to finish.
It was, and that's why I also gave it. I could have given it to L.A Noire, but L.A Noire was a new developer. I mean, Rockstar published it, but they didn't make it, so there was no previous game to stand.
I don't think you were really sort of getting yourself hyped up for it either.
No,
I mean, like there was a lot of hype behind it, but we were actually both genuinely like kind of hyping ourselves up for Dark Souls.
I did have high hopes. I was looking forward to playing it, and then dear, I got rid of my copy, by the way.
I've still got loads of stuff, but the plan is to trade it in for other things, but because there's no new games for me to get, then...
So the next one on the list is worst company / publisher. We kind of left it open to be either company in general or a publisher. And possibly not as a surprise, I went with Capcom. A close second would be Nintendo, but Capcom, because of what we spoke about a little while ago, they're satanic bears.
They're satanic Russian bears out to push your granny down the stairs.
Yes.
I did think about going with Capcom. And as I was sitting there going through everything that's gone on through the course of the year, And I'd actually sitting thinking maybe Nintendo as well. But I actually went with Sony.
Why? What have they done to you?
This didn't really impact on me as much as it did for a lot of people, but like the
downtime
and stuff. I mean, as far as things go, can you imagine like how much uproar there would be if Xbox Live went down for that length of time? And I know you pay for it, and they would probably refund that. And I know that they give out those free shitty titles with.
They were a terrorist attack on them, kind of.
I know, but still, the length of time that it was down for.
And I suppose, and the fact there was breaches in the first place, they had a lax security system.
And that's only one thing this year. I mean, like, look at things like the PS Vita. That, if you want to play any of your, if you want backwards compatibility, you're going to have to transfer them over, and there's going to be a charge for every one of these, existing titles that you want to transfer onto your new console.
Yep.
Now they're saying that it's going to be, reduced charge or whatever, but it's still going to be a charge for a game you already own.
Yes, I know. Yeah. What other bad things have they done this year?
Oh, lots. Too many.
No, it's not really that lots. You're exaggerating slightly.
No. So the next one is best company or publisher.
You might be surprised to hear that I found this one quite hard to do.
Really?
Yeah, if you had your ears closed about 10 seconds ago, you'll be very startled to hear. So what did you pick for your favoritist in the world?
To be honest...
Did you find it hard as well?
I found it difficult, but only because I don't really, I don't think of them in terms of, publishers or companies. I just go on a game-by-game basis.
Do you rate them by the number of bears they employ? Capcom, all bears equal bad. Nintendo, maybe they have 3 in an office somewhere.
I actually went with Bethesda for this one.
Oh,
I know that they've gotten a lot of stick, but because of how good it looks, and if you're playing on the PC, how well it runs, Skyrim is a piece of genius.
Okay, yeah, so it's just Skyrim addiction to you.
Well, recently I switched it from playing it on the big HD TV to on a little monitor for laptop problems and so on and so forth, right? Mm-hmm. And I've cranked it up to Ultra now, and I still get 60 FPS. And this is a mid-range machine. It's not heavy duty or anything. So
and it still looks pretty.
And I put it up on Ultra, so it looks shit hot.
But it isn't just that; it's also the character saying blah 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 blah.
And they have done a pretty good job of trying to get in there and fix all these various bugs and stuff as well.
Even though they have made your most horrible enemy of the year as well.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought that they should be nominated as the best company or publisher.
I struggled to pick one. I kind of thought about going with Rocksteady, who did Arkham City, but in the end I picked Nippon Ichi Software just for Disgaea 4, basically. For so long, they've not really made a game I've hated. They've not made great games, and sometimes they publish not so great games, but their core series is remaining extremely good, so that's why. Pure fanboy related choice there, but I had nothing better to go with. I wasn't really...
explosion.
I'm not really big on Bethesda, and I wasn't going to go with bear-loving Capcom and Nintendo. Or even going to individual publishers. Definitely not EA because of Origin and all that crap.
Yes.
Activision for just doing the yearly Modern Warfare splurge.
True.
So really, I didn't have many I could put on the list. So you started that one.
Yes.
So we're now on to the final 2 awards, which is the worst game and then game of the year. So worst game is first, which is a fun one, I think.
Worst game of the year.
Because there's so many contenders for worst game of the year, but I went with one. This is kind of like you in Space Marine, actually. I'm judging it based on demo.
All right, okay.
But the demo was so utterly terrible, it gave me enough grasp of what the whole game was about. Now, you might be thinking it's Bulletstorm. Is that this year? I think it was. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't, I didn't go with that. I went with Duke Nukem.
Really?
Yeah, because that was just bloody awful. The first thing you do in Duke Nukem Forever is take a bit of poo out of the toilet and play with it.
What?
I'm not joking.
Demo.
You start pissing in a urinal that has a bit of crap in it, and you can pick the crap up. So the first prompt you see is pick up crap.
Lovely.
And then you can throw it around. And then you can get to a whiteboard and you can use the pens to draw a penis on it if you want. It's like, I know Duke Nukem's supposed to be immature, but that was just awful.
I think the problem that Duke Nukem faced was that it was out, like that franchise was around the time that the sort of gamer generation that we're from were young and immature, and all that sort of stuff was funny. Look at this, I can play with poo and stuff. That was great then. Yeah. But as that generation has now grown up, you're not interested in that anymore, and they've decided just to hold on to what they thought made the game good then.
Like swearing a lot, etc.
And it probably might do all right with a certain niche with current gamers and stuff. But as we saw, it didn't do very well at all.
No, thankfully. But even if you ignore the immaturity level, just playing it as a shoot 'em up as well it's crap mechanics, crap aiming, everything. And they changed them from being able to hold like a host of weapons to having a restriction of 2, which is in keeping with games of the time, but not the way Duke Nukem was.
No, I don't like that. You should be able to have all. You should just start off with your crappy fists and work your way up to BFG. That's how it should work. You should have everything and chop and change as and when needed.
So, what was your worst game of the year?
This is this is going to be a duplicate here because I've gone for Dark Souls again.
That was a close second for me.
The reasoning behind this is because
of dissatisfaction. I mean,
it's the only game that I've paid for this year that I'm either not still playing or haven't finished. Because the point is, I'm not playing it again, and I haven't finished it. Now, while I haven't actually finished Skyrim yet, I'm still playing it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So that's my extension on that, because I could say, I haven't finished Skyrim yet, but I'm still playing that. But I haven't finished Dark Souls, and I never will.
Yeah, I think that's the only game I've played this year. I have started but will not finish.
That was the logic I went with for worst game of the year. Because if I'm not willing to finish the game off, then it must have done in first place.
Yeah. I would agree with that logic. And my chair squeaked in agreement also. Perhaps you heard it.
I hate Dark Souls.
Except Onion Knight. If we had it, he was a close contender for best character. But
I had thought about that, but I thought nobody would know who he was.
No, because it's just a random noise he makes that I happen to think is brilliant.
Still close.
Yeah.
Final category then is Game of the Year.
I didn't know that. I would like to guess what you've picked for your Game of the Year.
Have a stab.
No, thank you. I'd rather guess what your Game of the Year was.
I'll give you a knife.
I'll give you a bear. Is it Skyrim?
It's not.
Oh, damn! You surprised me.
I did think about that, but in terms of I'm sitting there mulling this over for most of the week actually. I went with Dead Island.
Really?
And the reason why I went with Dead Island is that it felt new, it felt different, it was good fun. I had a lot of fun playing through that game. I was fairly satisfied with the story, fairly satisfied with the ending. Even every so often we would just pick it up, play it for a bit, and then I would just get that sense of satisfaction from smashing a zombie miles. And every time that happened, you saw it in those videos.
Yes.
When he went launching, but every time that happened, I got an enjoyment factor. It was almost equal to getting a bit of artifact armor in Final Fantasy XI.
Oh, that's right up there with gaming orgasms.
Yeah, it was culture explosion. It was I really did like it, and I think that for something new, a new franchise to come out and do really well at the moment is quite difficult because people they're not interested in anything different. I know it was
a lot of things have been done as well.
Yeah, people complain about the bugs and so on and so forth, and I think it's an underrated game for this year.
Interesting. So mine's going to be very boring in comparison because I went with Skyrim. I almost don't want to admit that because it's just too easy to go with for the reasons
for obvious reasons.
Arkham City was a close second, but by pure addiction levels and the work that went into it, Skyrim.
Don't get me wrong. I think it was difficult to not pick Skyrim, but yeah.
Well, there you go. Had I have deliberately not picked Skyrim, it would have been Arkham City.
Difficult to choose.
Yes, but only because it's so obvious, because everybody's picking it. I mean, I'm sure they'll be raking in lots of awards from everywhere.
Exactly. So I think that rounds up the the list for 2011 then.
It does, yeah.
I think if anybody for next year has any comments on any of those awards, then give us a shout at braingohurty@gmail.com.
Or photoshopped images of bears going in and out of various game consoles. What?
Fucking bears.
Oh, sorry, yes. I keep forgetting. I can't really bring up bears in your presence. Don't ever go to the zoo, you'll go mental.
It's like the Hulk. That makes me angry.
So before we wrap up, I just had that two bits of brief news we were going to mention beforehand. One, the second set of Ambassador games, or Chump games, came out for the 3DS. Because you remember originally there was supposed to be 20, but then it just turned out to be 10.
We haven't really heard a lot about this for a while. It's sort of kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit.
Well, 10 Game Boy Advance games came out. And it is an okay bunch. It's like there's a Zelda one I haven't played. Can't remember the name of it. There's a Zelda one. Mario Kart, which is the one that doesn't have proper power sliding in it.
The Mario Kart DS one?
No, the Mario Kart Game Boy Advance one.
Oh.
Because you can slide, but it doesn't give you the speed boost, and if you do it too long, you spin and crash out like you've been hit.
Oh, right, okay.
So that's where that one came from. There's like F-Zero, a Kirby game, Mario versus Donkey Kong I'd never even heard of. But yeah, it's an okay bunch. Again, I don't know if it makes up for how much they slashed the price after a few months of release, but
probably not.
Probably not. And then the final bit of news I had, which is another MMO is going free to play.
Ooh, which one?
Ooh, Aeon.
Oh, really?
It is going free to play in February. My chair enjoyed that as well.
Aeon.
Really? Yeah, so it's released the various plans it's doing. You can have a certain number of, it's the various stuff that everyone else who's gone free to play has.
Yeah.
If you go premium, you get more character slots, maybe access to certain things. So if anyone was curious about it, wait until then to try it.
I didn't really like it all that much.
No, you didn't.
It looked nice, but it wouldn't hold me for more than a week.
Even though it was so much like WoW?
Not quite.
Blah, blah, blah. Old Republic will probably go the free-to-play option.
Yeah, that's my prediction for 2012.
Because it won't have enough. It has lots of decent content, it just won't last long enough to keep up a subscription free.
So to finish on, I think something that we'd mentioned before, but kind of let fall by the wayside, we never did explain the origin of the podcast name.
That was the last thing on my notes as well. Hold on. Another noise. Oh, it was a little too inaudible, that one. It was shocked. It was like a very shocked squeak that we remembered something that we actually spoke about last time.
We remembered something?
We did.
Shock, horror. So, explain.
What we didn't remember was this is supposed to be like Christmas and New Year podcast. We barely mentioned Christmas again.
Fuck that. In the ear.
Yeah. Like a Santa who breaks into your home on...
No.
Only get to the bathroom fast enough.
That's so wrong.
What do you remember about where the name came from?
I remember the webcomics.
Yes, the Sprite webcomic, which was very big in the 90s. Everybody had one.
Everybody had a Sprite webcomic.
Yes, me and a mutual friend of ours, I think we made a website called Brain Go Hurty, which had a Sprite comic on it. It used Sonic sprites and other ones from like SNES games, etc.
If I remember rightly, my intended sprite was Sparkster from Rocket Knight Adventures.
Yes, it was, and mine was a recolored Goku from some Dragon Ball game, I think. So yeah, not quite sure if it was me or the other person who thought of the name Brain Go Hurty. I can't remember that, but I do remember that's how it started, that website. And the way we got attention to it was I did an expose on an MMO I was connected with at the time. Like I spoke to the devs and was part of the staff, etc. So I had behind the scenes access. So we did an expose on all the crooked shit they were doing, and that kind of got us attention that we went on with from there.
Would that happen to be Flowers?
It would be Flowers, yes. That's the name we use for that MMO that we don't like to mention the name of.
You're not allowed to say its name.
Oh, no, we're not allowed to say it. It's horrible. So yeah, I think that's where it came from. And
does anybody actually have any copies of any of the webcomics floating about?
I might do. I'm sure I've got sitting around like a backup from a really old PC that might have them on. I don't have them on this one, that's for sure. But I think I might have an old backup sitting around.
It might be interesting for you to see if you can rake that out.
that quote you've got on our Steam community group, the footprints on my feet face, I remember that. That's from one of the comics I did.
Yep, that's
I made the character run up onto the roof and shout that and then fall off. Because I made his personality just like that. It's a very easy type of character to write where they just say random stuff. It's like Mort in the Chronicle videos I did for Final Fantasy.
They just appear, say something completely abstract and then disappear again.
It's a very easy joke to do that. So it's just why I used it often.
It lets everybody else do the hard stuff.
Yes. So that's where it came from originally, and now we've claimed it as our own.
It's mine.
It's like Highlander. We beheaded the site, so then we gained its power.
There can be only one.
Yeah, that. So this has been very Christmassy. I'm astonished by how Christmassy this Christmas podcast has been.
You're filled with Christmas goo.
Hatred.
Yeah.
It's like a black goo that melts everything it touches.
So, as always, you can leave questions, comments, feedback at braingohurty@gmail.com. You can find our YouTube channels at FlickFFXI or Blighty Warrior.
Don't wish us Merry Christmas.
Don't, because you won't get one back.
No.
Definitely not from him.
Definitely not. You can also check out the Steam community group I mentioned.
Oh, yes. And you can also join us on Google Plus as well.
Oh, yeah. I keep forgetting we've now tried Google Plus as well, just to see what that's all about.
It's just like a perv man's Facebook, if you ask me.
It pretty much is, but it still has a soul, whereas Facebook's got...
No soul.
No soul at all.
No MSG.
No. And what actually we were considering doing once is kind of getting the Steam group going via, like Team Fortress 2 nights or that. But to do that, we're going to need a few more people to join before we bother. Yeah,
so if you fancy playing Team Fortress 2, it is free now.
So there's no
Steam.
excuse.
And
then join the group, and then, I don't know, we might set up a chat or something and just pick a random room.
And we might, have a regular slot to, have a bit of a session. Might be fun. Might be shit. You never know.
It might be. Depends who's playing.
Yeah, I'll play.
Yeah, okay. So that makes two of us. So, I think that wraps this up.
Yep. Merry Christmas.
I knew you were going to say that at the end, and don't expect me to fucking say it.
God.